Okay, we're pleased that former ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, is joining us. Thank you for being on Newsmax.
Great to be with you.
First off, you have a lot of concerns. You've been writing about it. You've been speaking about it, about the great big multi-trillion-dollar coronavirus stimulus package. You're concerned that that money, so much of it, how could it be wisely spent in just a couple of months? Nikki, what could go wrong?
Well, and that's just it. You can't spend $3 trillion in 2 months and think that there's not going to be issues. And clearly there were issues. I think that obviously no one predicted this pandemic, and we needed to help people. We needed to help small businesses. The problem is we ended up, the government ended up helping a lot of people they shouldn't have. You saw large companies that have access to capital and have investors who get profits when they win. We shouldn't socialize their losses and have the taxpayers pay for it. You had universities that have massive endowments suddenly start to get money. You had hospitals that had low caseloads getting higher dollars than hospitals that had high caseloads. And so the goal now is, what do? We need to slow that train. We need to understand that there's going to have to be some tough decisions made, and we're going to have to start seriously looking at the debt. We're looking at going on $25 trillion in debt, and we're passing that to our kids and our grandkids, and I don't know that we can tell them that that money was spent wisely.
You really are standing up for your principles here. I read that you stepped down from the board at Boeing, but Boeing, let's talk about them. You're not entirely sure if they're entitled to a big rescue package, but they are suffering. They were suffering before all this, the 737 MAX issue. It sounds good to me. Big corporations, they aren't always the most sympathetic, but they do employ a lot of people. What happens, though, if companies like Boeing don't wind up surviving this?
Well, first of all, I absolutely love Boeing. It's a company that I've worked with over the last 10 years as governor, really helped them put their flagship plant in South Carolina, and am proud of the workers and the work that they do. But I just disagreed on the fact that they should go to the federal government for money. They have had 737 MAX problems. They have the ability to get out of that. They'll come out of this strong, but they don't need the federal government to do that. And I knew as a member of the board, they didn't need the money to do that. And this is bigger than that. I opposed bailouts during the financial crisis. I oppose them now for big companies because the government's job is not to pick political winners and losers. And I think we just have to understand that sometimes businesses are going to have to struggle. That's okay. Small businesses struggle every day. This is their livelihood. They are survivors.
What grade would you give President Trump overall in his handling of the coronavirus crisis?
Well, I learned not to give grades out a long time ago, but I'll tell you this. I think that this was an absolutely unprecedented crisis. And I give major kudos to the president and the vice president for creating the task force, for moving so quickly to stop the flights from China, stopping those flights from Europe. Given the information they had, I think they did as much as possible in that small time frame that really made a difference. One of the other things that I don't think the president's getting a lot of credit for is the way that he loosened up the regulations to allow our researchers and our health clinics to really start working on testing and vaccines. That's going to be huge in the coming days when we see how fast we were able to do it as opposed to the regular bureaucratic process.
I just got about a minute left. I am curious, when you left the White House, I remember that meeting, you and the president, and everybody with smiles. He did indicate that he'd be calling on you from time to time, your advice, your counsel, vice versa. Have you two been keeping in touch?
Yes, absolutely. We just talked a couple weeks ago. I'm very proud of his leadership. I'm very proud of the work that he and the vice president have done. I'm going to be cheering them on. I'm going to be campaigning for both of them. Look, the only way to get out of this crisis and get our economy back up and running is to see President Trump reelected, and I'll be right behind him making sure that I do my part.
Governor, Ambassador, thank you very much. And by the way, her book is available right there behind her, wherever books are sold. With all due respect, we highly recommend it. Nikki Haley, thank you so much.
Great to be with you.